All right, and welcome everybody to another episode of the Senpai Kohai podcast. It's your boy Trey, and with me today is not Steven, but it is Chris with the Squid Shock Studios development team here to do an interview with me. Chris, what's going on with you? How you doing today?
Doing good. In Thailand right now, nice and hot. Ready to talk about anime and gaming.
Always, constantly ready to talk about that. It's hot over there. That's crazy. I don't think I ever really realized what part of the equator another country is on. It's probably some kind of ecocentric part of the American in me, but wow, we're just about to get cold over here, but man, that sucks.
Yeah, it doesn't really
So,
get cold here until like February, but it's like
ah,
80 degrees outside right now.
yeah, okay. We're just about to start getting our cold fronts here in Texas. So, I think we're getting our first major one tomorrow, I believe. We're about to hit 40. So, that's a little exciting for us. Get out some pants and some long sleeves. Chris in Thailand. Now, the way we normally start the show is we talk about a game and an anime we're working on, or not working on. You're working on a game, but we're playing a game. So, you got any shows you're watching or games you're playing at the time?
Well, funnily enough, I just finished Okami HD on the Switch last night. And
Ooh,
it was my first playthrough ever of that game. Uh, a lot of people were saying that Bo reminded them of Okami, the game that I'm developing, Bo.
yeah,
Um,
that's very. I was gonna ask about that too, but okay, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, we could talk about that, but like they were saying, yeah, it reminds me of Okami, and I had never played Okami. I I had some vague memories of Okami, and like I knew it was about. I thought it was about like a fox, but it is a dog or a wolf rather,
Hmm.
and I knew that it had some Asian aesthetic to it, kind of like a painterly vibe, but I had never played it, and I just thought it would be a mistake not to play it during the development of Bo because after completing it, it's like wow, that the art direction in that game is a rare thing for back
Yeah.
then, and like even now, up until now, it was amazing.
No, it was a beautiful game, and I still need to go back and finish it. I started it a couple times, but I never realized how much of a, I guess, action platformer it was.
Yeah,
Whenever I was going through it, or action adventure kind of game it was, I want to say I grabbed the HD release at some point, and I just was never in the mood to finish it when I was playing it. So I still need to go back and finish. But yeah, when I saw Bo, I was like, oh, that looks like a little Okami,
yeah,
and they
uh,
made a not a sequel game, but it may have been a sequel or prequel called Okami Den on the
right.
DS, and it kind of Bo looks a little Okami Den-ish. It's cute.
Well,
That's
that's
always
got to
a
be the next one I play then. But I think it's pretty similar aesthetically. I don't know how much
mhm.
more I'd able to pull from it other than like maybe gameplay stuff. But yeah, our game is quite fundamentally different than Okami just because it's a 2D or
Oh yeah,
2.5D side scroller. So and just aesthetically, people have been drawing a lot of or comparing it a lot to Okami. So I had to play it.
no, I'm sure that that's the only thing that's gonna be the same. Um, so what about shows? You watch anything at the moment?
Um, well, Demon Slayer, right? I'm wearing the Demon Slayer T-shirt. You might not be able to see it, but I have been watching Demon Slayer, and the new. I was a little disappointed because the new season is just the Mugen Train arc, right?
Yep. Okay.
Um,
That's
so I
wow.
saw I saw some new episodes, and I was like, no way! I didn't even know they were. I didn't realize it was releasing at this time, and then started watching, and I'm like, hey, this looks a little familiar. Well, the first episode was completely new content.
Hmm.
So they kind of tricked you there. I'm not
Okay.
talking crap about the studio. Obviously, they're doing a good job, but um, I honestly haven't been watching this new season just because I've already seen the movie, and I well, do they have like some additional scenes? Seems that way.
Mhm.
It's hard to know because I don't really remember the movie that well.
Yeah, and it's been a while since the movie came out too. I want to say like a year or so. But Toei
Yeah.
Animation did the same thing with Dragon Ball whenever Battle of the Gods and Resurrection F came out. They put those movies in, what is it? I guess in the canon with episodes throughout the season. And you
Oh, I
just
didn't know
watched it
that.
again, but with a little bit of tidbits. Like Gohan would fight the Ginyu Force, I think, and that wasn't in the movie. But you just get a little bit extra, but you do have to deal with kind of watching that whole sequence again. That was something I was a little frustrated with. So I haven't gone back and watched it yet either until it was finished. But I have heard there's some interesting new bits in this season for the Mugen Train arc. So
Hmm.
I am curious.
Well, if they're like super well animated and stuff, I might watch it. But if not, I'll just like read up on it. I don't
Yeah,
usually read the manga for stuff, so I'm pretty behind. I've only read a few mangas all the way through, so
yeah.
I literally don't know what's going to happen in the Demon Slayer
D-
arcs.
Demon Slayer just ended. I want to say in the summer they just put out their final manga. I've
It's
seen that
pretty
a
insane.
couple times. It looks good. I want to say
Now
my
what?
partner Steven. Oh, go ahead.
Now how much of the manga has already been displayed in the anime? Like what percent? Do you know?
I want to say it's only been a third from what I've heard.
Okay.
Now I want to say there's probably going to be another, probably a third season after we get through this train arc. Um, the way it's all been broken up, this train, what is it? Took up a good bit of what was anticipated to be a second season, but there's supposed to be
Mm-hmm.
some red light district that's going to be the next part. I think
Interesting.
that's anticipated, and that's gonna this train's eating up some time, but I don't know that there's going to be at least be a third season. But I've seen some worried about how rushed it's going to be storytelling wise, because
Mm.
unless they're just going to do a fourth season, but they probably have the budget for it with how well Demon Slayer's doing.
Yeah, I imagine they're gonna milk it, and I
Oh
hope
yeah,
they do. You know.
I think it's sat at number one for a couple years now, so I don't think they're going to have a problem with it. If One Piece can get to 1,000 episodes, I think Demon Slayer can. I think they can do what they want.
Yeah. Well, One Piece is wild. Yeah, right. They just hit their 1,000th episode. Few
Yeah,
animes have that longevity. Insane.
and enough source material to back it up. I can't
Right.
imagine.
Is that manga still going?
Yeah, yeah. For what I don't know. I don't know if this One Piece is even real at this point, but they're still doing something in there.
Hmm.
I keep seeing fight scenes and everything for them, but I don't know what they're doing. I just see a new person and a new fight, and that's it. They keep getting members, but I don't know. It's just an army. So let's see. For me, I'm playing Final Fantasy 13. I'm working my way through that. I'm actually doing a year of Final Fantasy. I'm trying to catch up on all the ones I haven't played, and
Damn.
right now I'm going through 13, and it's pretty cool. I like this linear play that it has. It kind of just keeps me fast tracking through the game for the most part. I don't have to I don't know, I guess stray too far off its beaten path. Um, it's
You
got a
don't need a
pretty interesting,
walkthrough.
yeah. I don't have to reference anything. It's just you either find it or you don't because you're not exploring.
Yep.
So that's not too bad because there's two other games in its, I guess, series 13.2 and 13.3, whatever. So working on that. And then anime. So I finished The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, which isn't an anime, but I finished
Classic.
that. Yeah, a classic. And I haven't picked my next anime yet. I'm probably gonna
Hmm.
go back to Digimon Ghost Game. That
Oh
has
wow.
yeah, that aired this season. I got a couple episodes in, and I wanted to give it some time to get a few more episodes before I binged it. It started off pretty cool. Um,
Hey man, I
very
loved the original Digimon, but that's where I kind of stopped. The first and the second season. I,
oh yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
stop because it was bad. I don't know, lost interest. Had to focus on
yeah.
Pokemon, a little bit more heavily.
Everyone did. Pokemon
Yeah.
was where it was at. Um, I'm getting a lot of Digimon Season 3 vibes or Digimon Tamers. Uh, that one's pretty cool. A lot of emotional weight with that one. And it's starting off that way. I kind of hope it carries it.
Is that the one where they started fusing with the Digimon? The third season?
No.
Did that
No,
ever
they didn't
happen, or am
fuse
I
with that one.
making that up?
No, no, you're right. I just don't know where that happened.
Okay.
They didn't fuse in 3.
That was where it got a little weird for me. It's like, what are we doing
No.
here? Messing
I
with
think
nature
Digimon
here.
had a couple a couple weird steps where they tried to spice up the formula and it just
Right.
got a
It's
little
like,
odd.
how do we not be Pokemon?
Yeah. They keep saying our names in the same sentence. We got to stop being like them. But for the most part, that's kind of all I'm doing on
But
my
what's on your list, like on your anime hit list, I suppose, like
ooh, man, what is on there? I don't know if I have anything on the
you
bat.
don't have like
I
you don't even have like a physical list that you kind of just keep.
it's all just whatever I see. So I just
Okay.
added, what was it, Gundam Seed the other day, and I've been eyeing that one for a while. And I think I'm in the mood for another Gundam show at the moment. But Gundam's just so hefty, and you really got to be in the mood for just the dramatics and everything for that. And I keep trying to
Mm,
force myself into Gundam Wing, but I just don't like it. I don't know what it is
mm,
about Gundam Wing, but it doesn't keep my attention. But Gundam Seed looks like it may be something that can keep me. I'm not sure. And everything else is normally just maybe 12, 24 episode stuffs that I just find across my Verve. And then HBO Max, I just keep finding a bunch of cartoons. I That's it. Like now that I finished Billy and Mandy, I just want to find something else. I think I'm gonna start Samurai Jack.
okay. Is that's on HBO Max too?
Oh yeah, all 5 seasons.
They own like all the Cartoon Network properties.
Hmm.
Is
Yes, sir.
Adult Swim and Cartoon Network completely different?
No, Cartoon Network
I thought they
owns
own, right?
Adult Swim. I think it just I think it just has it for more adult oriented properties. I think is all it
Right.
is. Probably just more violence, cursing, anime, more likely. That they couldn't show on Toonami or just Cartoon Network in general, and they just threw it in the Adult Swim pool, I guess.
Well, I
If you'll take
remember
the pun.
loving Adult Swim as a kid. You felt like you were like, discovering like a whole new. They took cartoons to a level that you never thought existed. It was like another plane of cartoons,
Yeah,
and it was a good like transition into my love for animation, and like you could see that cartoons can have a dark side or like these really interesting complex storylines. It's not just, no offense to SpongeBob because I love SpongeBob.
yeah,
It's not just like goofs for like 15 minutes, like lore and stuff like that.
yeah. Something going on, and I think probably when we were kids, stuff like Cowboy Bebop was going on.
Mm-hmm.
What else? I
Trigun,
looked up the
Trigun.
Trigun, Cowboy Bebop, and there was another big anime. I think Gundam Wing was showing on Adult Swim, probably when we were kids, and it's just
Samurai Champloo.
yeah, Shampoo. It was a lot of good stuff was airing at that time. Just giving everyone their gateway drugs, make sure everyone got their Crunchyroll subscriptions when they were a little bit older. They knew what they were doing, planting seeds,
Yeah. Yep.
getting everyone invested. But for the most part, that's hobbies, my hit list. With that, let's kind of talk about what we're here to eat, and that's the meat and potatoes of Bo. Figuring out what's going on with that, man. So you are the director. That's right.
Yeah, I mean the titles are a little all over the place because we're an indie team,
Hmm.
so wear a lot of hats. Obviously, I guess I'm the creative director. Would be the main title I like to go with. Kind of encompasses most of what I do.
That sounds nice. I like I like creative director. I could take that. So, about how many people do you have in your team? I mean, is it right? Is it a normal size indie team, or I'm not really familiar with many different teams of game development. So,
Right. We have me. I'm the creative director, and my friend Trevor, who also lives in Thailand, and he's the lead programmer. And then we have, so I would say that us two are the core team.
Okay.
And then we have two people who are freelancing with us. We have Mikami Art. She does the animation. So I'll send her my character designs and like a list of key poses and whatever, and she'll just animate it. And we have Moises Camargo from Mexico, and he does the music.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
Wow.
in our Discord, there's a lot of people that are like offering to help, and there's been so many people reaching out to us saying, "Oh, I really want to be a part of this project. How can I help? I'll do anything." And so we're looking into kind of expanding a little bit, just because we want all the help we can get, and we don't want the development process to drag out too long. I mean, we're looking into expanding the team a bit. I don't want it to get too crazy,
Yeah,
but
yeah, no. You gotta get as big as you can manage. And
mhm.
that's neat. That's nice that you guys already have quite a community that they'd be willing to offer up as many talents as they can. That's pretty cool. So Bo itself, I reading into you guys' stuff, the description that you guys offered, I really liked. A delightfully demonic East Asian fever dream. That's
You
a
like that?
that's a pretty good description of anything. I'm instantly enchanted by that. I'd watch something labeled that, play something, eat something labeled that.
Just based on the description.
Just that alone. So
Great.
what?
I did my job.
Yeah. So what? I guess what started the dream, or what started the fever dream?
What started the fever dream? Well, there was a game that was made for a game jam called Cleaning the System, and you control this little staff looking object and you bounce around. And I was
Okay.
playing that. And I was like, this is pretty fun. How do maybe I wanted to create some sort of prototype similar to that. And then eventually the project grew from that initial idea of having a bouncy kind of staff mechanic. And I attached Bo as a character to it. And I'm pretty obsessed with like anime and just Asian cultures, but Japanese because I'm half Japanese. My mom's Japanese. I grew up kind of around that, and I just have always been. I've been to Japan a bunch of times. I've always been in love with the culture. So
Yeah.
I was like, naturally, there's a lot of stuff to pull from Japanese culture, and I thought it would be a good theme for the game.
Absolutely. A wealth of resources there to work with. Um, Game jams. So that's like the, I don't want to say GDCs or like the game development conferences, but that, or is it like those
Well,
were
a game jam is I don't think GDC does a game jam, but like a bunch of different organizations, even like YouTubers or personalities, will host a game jam where their followers, who are usually it's usually the demographic is like people who are into game dev, so they get
mhm.
all their followers or the people in their community to join together in small teams or as a solo developer and create a game over 48 hours or not necessarily that amount of time. Sometimes it's a week, but it's within a very short time frame. And the idea is that you just throw ideas at prototypes for like a very short amount of time and bring your game to launch within like an unreasonably short amount of time. And that helps you really get into the routine and kind of feel for like what it's actually like to ship a game.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and a lot of games start as these game jams. I don't know if you know this, but Hollow Knight started as a game jam game.
No, I didn't.
That's probably one of the most famous. Yeah, it's called Hungry Night. You could probably still play it, and I
Hmm.
believe they used the same sprite from that first prototype.
That's
Uh,
there.
the
That's cool.
yeah, I mean, the game is nothing like Hollow Knight as it stands right now, but it's interesting to see the evolution.
Yeah, I'm sure it's grown quite a bit since a game jam. But that's cool. I had no idea. I've always heard about them. I've tried watching a couple, I guess, GDCs or things like that. I always hear game
Love
jams get
GDC.
referenced, but I don't think I've ever seen anything happen in it. I should probably try to check a couple out. Within um, Bo itself, himself, is a, a fox that wears this lotus cloak. a being called down to help the land. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, generally, there's been a little bit of confusion about what Bo is, even within my own mind. But Bo is like a moon spirit.
Hmm.
So technically not a fox, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's inhabiting kind of like a fox form. So yeah, Bo's a fox uh, that grows out of a lotus.
Yeah,
But the initial stimulation is like from the moon kind of blessing it,
blessing this lotus,
blessing the seed. Yeah,
the seed. It's really
the
cute.
bud,
I
the bud.
love the lotus. It's a really cute dressing. I think it's very appealing as like a cloak.
Yeah, it was initially just going to be a cape or like a cape, and like the first concept drawings we had of it, where it looked like kind of like a towel, and I'm like, how do we make this character a little bit more appealing? Not like he just got out of the shower. Uh, so, naturally, the lotus is a very iconic Japanese flower or Asian flower, and I just thought it was perfect. Like, so I changed the design and kind of incorporated the whole lotus and floral motif into
Hmm.
the game, just based off that.
Yeah, no, a towel could have came in use. Maybe like a, I don't know, some kind of DLC or something, or I don't know. That'd be
Sure, maybe
cool.
like a skin. Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of towels, though, so it sounds like there's quite a few different places that you get to go, as would be expected in a game that's kind of like Bo. I believe. Let me find where I wrote it down. You get to go to bathhouses and then Japanese metropolises. Um, where were you able to find inspiration for some of these kind of places? Or is this all just kind of workings of the mind or things you had cooked up?
Well, that's a great question. Once I finally decided on the theme for Bo and like how I knew it was going to be based on Japanese folklore, I started reading a lot about Japanese folklore, and there were so many ideas that came from that. And in my mind, I had these ideas for set pieces. So I wanted like a Lotus Grove type area. You can see that in the trailer.
Hmm.
A bamboo forest, but not like a your typical green one. There's these crimson bamboo that like are giant crimson bamboo. So getting a little fanciful with that. We have a cave area, of course. So you kind of research Japanese caves and the folklore around that and how to like interweave that into the story. And the bathhouse idea, you want to take a stab at where that came from?
Oh, I can just imagine just all kind of saunas, bathtubs, anything.
Yeah. So that the idea for the bathhouse really was came from the Ghibli movie Spirited Away.
Oh,
I
okay,
mean,
perfect, perfect.
yeah, that movie was, you know, I've seen that movie so many times. It's like such a treasure in like Japanese animated cinema, and
Yeah.
just the cultural influence it's had on like an entire generation, my generation, and even the generation coming up now. So I a lot of my concepts about like drawing and my art in general came from that movie. Character design came from that movie. Uh, and it's a little bit of an homage. The bathhouse. You'll see some little Easter eggs in there if you look carefully.
Oh,
Um, yeah. So there's an undeniable Ghibli influence in the game, just
that's
because
cool.
Ghibli movies also pull a lot from Japanese culture and folklore.
Yeah. And a lot of that you see in a lot of places that you don't really get to acknowledge or recognize if you don't know a lot
Hmm.
about it. And things like
Right.
Naruto, where they pull
Yeah.
from a lot of Japanese folklore and legends. Um, a question from my partner in crime. He wanted to ask about some of the yokai cast and significant kami, kind of like they had in Naruto. Were and I mean I don't know if we're getting in spoilers or planning territory if you aren't able to answer, but were you going to have anything like Amaterasu or Susanoo or any kind of big names? I know in the trailer you have some named creatures, some people you fight, but I guess how does that go into incorporating story elements and I guess significant story events?
So like a keen eye can look at our key art and kind of like see what's going on there. There's like this looming figure, mysterious figure in the background, and like a keen eye of someone who like knows their stuff might
Hmm.
look at that and understand what kind of story we're trying to tell. But I don't really want to go too much into the kami aspect of it because there is a lot of you know, it is a little bit of a spoiler territory, so I don't want to go
Okay.
too much into that. But as
Yes, sir.
far as like the characters and stuff, Bo is not really a character that exists as in Japanese folklore, but he kind of draws inspiration from the story of Kaguya, the bamboo princess.
Hmm.
So and like Momotaro, who's like they find him in a peach. He's like a little boy they find in a peach.
Yeah.
So there's
Okay.
these little stories of like these kind of celestial beings or spirits that are inhabiting plants. So that you can see kind of like the spirit of that in Bo. So he's born out of a lotus, and he's plopped into this world with no idea why he's there or like what he's doing there, what his greater purpose within the world is.
Yeah.
And he eventually like stumbles upon a mysterious figure who kind of is a little bit shady, and he wants to kind of use Bo as kind of like he kind of manipulates Bo into like doing his bidding for him. And
Hmm.
throughout this, he's really integral to the storyline and this shady character. And you'll see him throughout the game, and slowly the story will be revealed to you about like what Bo's purpose is actually supposed to be in this world.
No, that's cool.
And
That's neat. I like that.
got a bit vague with it, but I can't say too much.
No, you can't. Yeah, you can't lay all your cards out. Maybe one trap at a time, but you can't lay all the cards. No, that's cool. With the legends and everything that's going to be in there, yokai and monsters and everything. Do you plan on having anything to kind of keep track of what you see? Kind of, I guess, maybe a bestiary
Hmm.
sort of thing, or maybe a legends tracker. I'm not really sure what that would be. A lore book of
Right,
sorts.
like a bestiary. The bestiary is kind of like a big scope creep type feature that we
Okay.
would love to add. However, that's going to be one of the last things we add if we do.
Okay.
Um, there has been thoughts in my mind of including a gachapon machine in the game where you can
Oh.
kind of collect digital figurines of the characters and yokai and things like that. And that inspiration came from Eastward.
Oh.
Do you know that
I,
game?
I I I know of it. I was thinking the Minish Cap, Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap. They had a
Well, I haven't played it,
gachapon machine. Oh man, it's a good one. But okay, sorry. Go ahead.
but it was just I saw that in the game and I immediately felt in Eastward I saw it and I immediately felt like, oh, this is something I'm interested in, and I want to like basically I wanted to like obtain currency just for the gachapon machine. I didn't actually even care about the narrative of the game.
Yeah.
Like I thought myself like thinking, wow, this is a cool feature. So that might be one of our stretch goals on Kickstarter. That is also very scope creepy. There's a lot of art assets involved with that, but
Hmm.
um, you know, I would love to do something like that. Give collectibles are super important in games, so
Yeah.
I want to do that.
No, absolutely. Um, I have on here collectibles. So I did see that you got items like the well named mochi mallet. I do really like that. It's probably the best thing I've seen ever for an item. But I
Thank you.
also see that you get items to cook with. So you're getting recipes um, and all kind of different collectibles. I'm imagining. Are we upgrading, cooking? I'm picturing Paper Mario cooking, but that's kind of my only frame of reference I have for cooking. So what, if I can ask,
Mm.
what do you have in mind for a chef?
So in essence, it is cooking, but it's really all brewing different teas.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so Bo will have like a teapot that he carries, and it's kind of like his mana store.
Mm,
And this teapot, you have to collect different resources from different parts of the world in order to follow these recipes to make these special teas. It's like it's under the umbrella of what we call teal tea, like the color teal.
yeah,
Uh, and there's these different teas that he can drink that give him his abilities and or other things, which I can't really talk about too much. But
gotcha.
yeah, you'll get your abilities from drinking the teas.
Hmm. Okay, that's pretty cool. I wasn't expecting that. That sounds really neat. Something you definitely want to play with and explore. Speaking of exploring, though, so you did talk about the trailer a little bit. Um, some of what we did see, or what you can see in the trailer, uh, looks beautiful. Looks astounding so
Thank you.
far. In my friend group that I shared it with, as soon as I let them know, I was like, "Hey, I'm going to be talking with Squid Shock Studios about this." They were like, "Wow, this game looks gorgeous." Just looking at the trailer, I loved seeing the paper cranes. Asahi, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right in the trailer. And what else? The music was really great. I love the strings and the woodland fight you do. Or I'm not sure if it was the woodland or the bamboo fight or in the bamboo forest, but
The
it was
fight?
really cool. I think it was a fight.
Are you
Hmm.
talking about the one in the Lotus area?
Yes, it was.
It was
There
kind of
was
the Lotus
lotus. There was
Ninja.
bamboo on the sides. Maybe. I hope I'm
Oh
not
yeah, yeah, yeah.
remembering that wrong.
That's what you're talking about. Yeah, 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 yeah. That's at the
Okay.
very end, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. So,
Oh yeah.
how did I guess making a trailer go for you guys? Picking
Mm.
the cutscenes you guys want to make, or I guess not cutscenes, but vital pieces, because I feel like that's difficult. You want to show off what you have, and it's you still got to play your cards close, but you want to show the shiny bits. But I feel like you showed a lot of good ones. So how'd that go for you guys and your team?
Well, first of all, I have like a little bit of a. Well, first of all, thank you for your kind words. But I think I had like a background in video editing. Um, it's I never really did it professionally, other than like wedding stuff.
Mm,
But so that kind of came a little bit naturally. I kind of like understand how to piece clips together and do the transitions and whatever. So the technical ability was somewhat there. For the trailer, it was going to be a big milestone for Bo. We knew that like up until that point we had nothing but these small little clips that we were posting every screenshot Saturday. A lot of them didn't even make it into the art, might not even make it into the game. We were just playing with different aesthetics and stuff. And in that way, we were able to actually really get a response from people who were interested in the game. They were drawn to certain aspects, and they were vocal about these aspects in the comments. Like for example, that one wave chasing scene that we have on that red bridge,
yeah.
that picked up a lot of steam, and it's kind of become like this iconic scene in Bo. That's obviously like a reference to the Hokusai painting, the Great Wave off Kanagawa, and people kind of like know that painting. It's one of the most famous. It's definitely the most famous Japanese painting of all time. But one
Hmm.
even in the larger art world, it's one of the most famous paintings of all time. So people were like, "Oh, I get that reference. That looks cool." And what they're doing is like something I haven't seen before. So with that, we were able to really like see what the audience was responding to in a positive way and just lean heavy into it. So that was a great tool to kind of just show like your unfinished product to the public and have them say what they're going to say about it. And you can see what people are really excited about and like give them more of that. So that kind of dictated a lot about what we were going to include in the trailer.
Yeah.
Um, but but other than that, like I told you earlier that I had all these scenes, these set pieces kind of in my mind. So those were kind of the first things we really decided for the different zones that you would be traveling to.
Hmm.
Like a green moss covered forest with stone lanterns. I knew I wanted to do that. I know I wanted the very atmospheric, dark, crimson bamboo forest where like something bad happened in that forest. There's some bad juju in there. This kind of limestone cave that's kind of glittering. What else do we have? Like that origami scene was actually just the origami scene where you were talking about the paper cranes.
Hmm.
That was actually inspired by Demon Slayer. That whole scene. Um,
Oh,
there's a scene in one episode of the first season where he meets that woman who like cuts her arm and like floral aroma kind of comes out.
yeah, the demon with the healing. Mhm. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah, yeah. And it kind of trips out everybody.
Yeah.
That scene, wow. That scene like blew me away with the floral aesthetic and how they like rendered this kind of psychedelic almost like a Asian psychedelic visual motifs with like the blooming cherry blossoms and daisies and things like that, and the chrysanthemums.
Hmm.
I was like, "Whoa, these guys!" That's the moment where I fell in love with Demon Slayer. I mean, the art direction of Demon Slayer is insane. So you'll see a lot of influences there, even with the way I rendered the water
Hmm.
in the tsunami scene. Um, yeah, so I actually getting a lot of inspiration from different animes when I'm making this.
So
I think I
that's
went on
good.
a tangent there, but
No, that was great. That was great. You actually answered what my next question was going to be, and it was going to be inspirations for the game, uh,
oh,
design wise and development wise. But you, you've said Ghibli, and
there's more to it than that. Even I could probably talk about. Of course, we're looking at these old Japanese traditional pieces of artwork, ukiyo-e art style, which is like that art style you see with the heavy inking and kind of watercolor wash.
mhm,
Just look up Hokusai, and he's the guy that we're looking at. He's the guy who did the wave painting. Okami's been heavily influenced uh, subconsciously because I had seen videos of Okami before I played the game,
yeah,
so that was always a visual influence for us. Of course, we're looking at Hollow Knight for a lot of the. They did a lot of things right in Hollow Knight, and it's difficult to set yourself apart from that because Hollow Knight just like nailed pretty much everything with the atmosphere and the world design and the environmental storytelling
hmm,
in a way that kind of changed the genre and or like took the genre to the next level. And I think a lot of these next gen games coming out are all taking inspiration from that game. And some are being criticized for it, just like we have been. But again, other games like Crowsworn are being criticized for ripping off the Hollow Knight aesthetic.
oh,
And we that's something like I've thought a lot about, but I think anyone who like looked at our game for longer than 30 seconds could kind of see, we're not trying to be Hollow Knight. The character itself is kind of similar. Short, wears a mask, has a cape, but I promise you, it's quite different. But people, you know, at a superficial level, I can see why people might be upset.
yeah. And I mean, really, that's kind of the only similar draw you could see. I mean, watching the trailer, you can see a ton of differences between Hollow Knight
Yeah,
and Bow. I mean, you can. I mean, a Metroidvania is a Metroidvania if you look, but it's the drastic differences that you can see. And I mean, just with the
yeah,
completely different artistic style and tones, you can see that Bow's different. And I think that's
right.
what's really exciting is that it's
Yeah,
a lot of color, a lot of character that's here in Bow.
right. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of like these colorful, kind of striking, vivid imagery.
Hmm.
So I really wanted to include that into the game. But again, I don't mind the Hollow Knight comparisons. Like that's fine. Like a ton of the fan base came from the Hollow Knight fandom. So I just don't. I don't mind it at all. I just don't get why people are so upset sometimes. Let me give a message to all like people who might not be game devs. Be nice to the devs. Like it really takes a toll on you when you're getting like negative feedback. Constructive criticism is awesome. I love constructive criticism. There's some people who are just like mean spirited. Be nice to them. They're trying to make something cool. Like it's my philosophy on it. Just chill out.
Yeah, you don't have to be so full of hate. No need for all that. And before we get to the Kickstarter, which is going to be our next big talking point, I kind of wanted to talk about some of the other games you guys have made at Squid Shock Studios. Games like you have Fox Phrase, and I see you guys have other things in the works. What can you tell me about, I guess, those projects?
Well, Squid Shock really started as a mobile development thing, a studio.
Mm,
So Bo is our first real big venture into like the larger gaming world. PC game, of course, and expanding to other consoles most likely. Our first venture into like getting a product out was Fox Phrase, which is kind of, if you're familiar with the game Catchphrase,
yeah.
yeah, it's a game I really liked, and have liked my whole life. So how it's different from Catchphrase is that you're able to upload your own decks, and it's more community based, whereas in Catchphrase you kind of have to download these decks that are made by the creators or whoever's running the show over there.
Hmm.
This one, Fox Rage, is more community based, where you're able to upload your own decks. So you could get really niche with it. You can do like anime from the '80s deck. So it's more like you. I saw your eyebrows pop there,
That'd
but
be
it's
really
more
fun
like you're.
for us here. We're
Yeah,
we're big
it's
fans of
it's
that.
yeah, it's really for nerds. Like I'm a nerd, and I saw these catchphrase apps and these catchphrase clones, which Foxphrase is admittedly a catchphrase clone, but they didn't. I thought it would be interesting to kind of push it to really niche things that people are interested in,
Hmm.
and create like a more community driven app. That app is out on Android right now. However, the iOS development has been severely delayed because of COVID and not having to release a app on the iOS store. You need a Mac, and my Mac was in America for a long time, and I couldn't go and get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're pushing the iOS a little bit back, and we're focusing more on Bo right now.
Yeah, I'm sure that's pretty consuming.
Yeah, Bo is taking up all our time, so everything is on the back burner.
No, that's got to be fun to juggle projects or put them on the back for other things. I don't know. That I can't imagine it. That's uh that's got to be intense.
Yeah, well, as a small team of two, it's pretty much impossible to work on two things at once.
Yeah.
So Bo is the one that's picking up a lot more steam. So again, lean into where there's interest. That's
Yeah,
kind of what I've always been doing in my
absolutely.
life, and yeah.
I feel that. So, let's go ahead and go into the Kickstarter. So that is opening in February, I believe.
Mhm.
Did I read that right?
That's accurate. I mean, the date is not hard locked yet, but about February or late January.
Okay, good deal. So February is Kickstarter and still a planned launch in Q1, Q3 of 2023. I guess what can you tell us about the Kickstarter? Do we have any plans for that yet?
Well, the goal that we're looking for has not been completely decided yet. Um, Obviously, with Kickstarter, you're not able to obtain the funds unless you reach the goal. So if you don't reach
Hmm.
the goal, everyone gets their money back. Um, and we don't want that to happen, obviously. So you have to be kind of smart and like read your audience and read how many signups you have to understand what's a realistic goal for the game. So we don't know yet about the goal. We have a vague idea, but as for like the reward tiers, which I think might probably interest you more, we have a plush doll in the works. That idea came from a indie game called Iluri that had a Kickstarter about a month back now, and they had a plush. And then I was talking to Liz, who is the lead artist on that, and she was like, "Yeah, that drove so many pledges to our Kickstarter campaign, and also it's
Wow.
cool to have a plush." So I'm working with like a factory to design a plush. They're getting a prototype out. It's not quite right yet. We've gone through two alterations, but it's getting there.
Okay, that's cool. I
Yeah.
would have never thought of a plush being a selling point, but I guess that makes sense. Everyone's kind of in that figurine,
Yeah.
little. trophy collecting type thing. So that'd be a cool like, hey, this is what I help support. This is Bo.
Exactly. Yeah, there's definitely an audience. I'm part of that audience. Like I love collectibles and figures and plush, pins, anything like
Yeah.
that.
Okay, you can't see mine. I've got my figurines are a little
I'm sure
of
you
a
got
little.
a yeah. I was gonna ask actually, but I'm sure you got quite the collection if you're an anime fan.
Oh
I
yeah,
got I
it's
got
getting back up there.
I got a this is my crown jewel right here.
Oh, that's beautiful. Is that
I
That
have
is Levi. Ah,
yeah.
gorgeous. Oh,
I love
Levi
this one.
Ackerman from Attack on Titan. Chris has a gorgeous
Yeah.
figurine of him spinning off a tree, doing his Beyblade spin, probably ripping
I mean,
across a Titan.
yeah. I mean, I imagine I'm the Beast Titan and he's coming for me, you know.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a wow.
It
If that's
motivates
what
me
you
to like
want.
get my workout faster.
Oh, all right. On my desk. I have a couple Frieza figurines. Frieza's kind of my favorite, so I've got a Frieza figurine, a
Show
couple pops, and I just have an assortment of stuff up here on my other thing.
do you own like
It's
one
all
intellectual property more than any other?
well. Before we moved, I just moved to a new apartment, so I had to kind of downsize my collection. So I did have a
Oh,
lot
what do
more
you mean? You
Dragon
got
Ball.
rid of them?
Yeah, I did. I had to for a few
What?
things. It was unfortunate, but it
Put
wasn't
them in a
anything too high
shoebox.
dollar. It
Okay,
was I'll work on that when I get back or when we get to our next place, our final place. We're working on getting a house now. But
sick.
so it's probably going to be Kingdom Hearts and Dragon Ball is what it's going to be. So
Okay,
Soras and Freezes is going to be all across my area. A real eclectic cast
solid,
is what I'm going to have.
solid duo, solid duo.
Yeah. Let me see. I did have one more question I wanted to ask about gameplay. I realized I missed it. Oh, the Daruma dolls. Or Dar is it am I saying it right? Daruma or
Da,
Daruma?
Daruma, yeah.
Daruma.
Ru-
So I saw that those things had elemental attributes, or what sounded like elemental attributes.
Not elemental in the sense like earth, wind, fire, water, blah blah blah, but they have certain we'll call it a quirk if you watch MHA.
Oh,
It's like or
okay.
like a perk, not a
A
quirk,
perk.
perk. I meant to say perk. Um, but they give you different power ups depending on um, the type of Dharma they are, and you can upgrade them by completing certain tasks. Are you familiar with how a Dharma doll functions, like
No,
in Japanese culture?
no, I'm not.
So when you get a Dharma doll, they're like these little paper dolls, and they have no pupils in their eyes. So you fill in the first when you get the Dharma doll, you fill in the first pupil, and you make a goal, and then you display it somewhere where you can see it,
Hmm.
and you try. And the idea is that every time you see it, um, it reminds you of the goal that you set when you filled in the first eye. And then
Okay.
when you finally complete that goal for that specific dharma, you can fill in the other eye. So it represents a completed goal that you made.
I had no idea. I think the only Daruma I've seen was in Pokemon. Like that's
Oh yeah,
I don't
Dharamaka. Yeah, he's
yeah. I don't think he had quite that much significance, but I didn't
no,
realize
but
they had that's cool.
yeah. So they're
Oh,
like characters in the game, but they're also they're alive by some sort of magic,
yeah.
and they're characters, but they're also power ups or yeah perks.
Perk
So
quirks.
they will enhance your abilities in certain ways manipulate the world around you in a certain way.
Hmm. Okay. If I had another question, but I think you've answered most of my questions I had, Chris.
Cool.
So before we wrap up here, where can we find information on Bo and where can we find information on you, man?
If you go to our Twitter, which is Squid Shock, we that's where we're most active, and from there you can find our link tree, our Discord server, our Kickstarter page, Steam page, whatever you need is all in there. So Twitter is kind of the hub for all that, Squid Shock, and our Discord's like growing more and more every day. So we'd love if you would come in. And if you come into our Discord, you can sign up for the alpha, which we're testing hopefully as early as like, well, after Christmas. Yeah, so January in the new year.
Coming
And
soon.
as far as me as an individual, you can follow me on Instagram, Chris_Stair, like the stairs you walk up. And I do photography on there. You could see a lot of my photos from Japan that I took on my visits there. So if you're interested in that, that's kind of what I do when I'm not doing art for Bo.
I imagine that's not too often. I feel like you're probably pretty consumed at the moment since things are heating up for you. So hopefully you get more time for that in the future.
Exactly, yeah.
But all right, man. With that, I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on, and good luck to you. I hope everything goes well, and I'm looking forward to the release of Bo and the Kickstarter. We me and Steven both are looking forward to it. He's working through Hollow Knight right now, and I've already finished it.
Yeah,
And
I think
so
that's how you found us because I liked one of your Hollow Knight tweets.
yeah, and
Yeah.
we're both looking for something else, and so I've got my eyes on it. So we're both excited, and we can't wait.
Well, I'll deliver for you
Yes,
guys.
sir. All right, man. Well, thank you again, and you have a good day, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye bye.